Hey, welcome back, developers. In today's video, we are diving into one of the most powerful performance optimization technique in Next.js, which is called parallel data fetching. So, if you are fetching data from multiple sources in your component like user detail, post, or comment, but doing it one by one, you are slowing things down. But what if I told you that you can fetch all your data at once in parallel to significantly improve your app performance? In this video, we will explore how to implement parallel data fetching in both server component and client component using built-in features like Promise.all and use hook, and best practices for the latest NextJs 15 update. Whether you are building a dashboard or a blog or e-commerce app, this trick will level up your speed game. So grab your coffee like Supercharge or data fetching in Next.js. So let's move on to the Visual Studio codes. In today's video, we are talking about the uh, parallel data fetching in Next.js. So before this, we like to give you overview what are the API which we are going to use in this particular video. Let's move on to the browser. So here you can see that I have shown you that we have a we go with the two API endpoint. One was the post and second for the albums. So in this you can, if you see the post, we have already used the post in the sequential data fetching, but here we are also making a parallel request to the albums which have a contain the user ID. So we use both the endpoint for the parallel data fetching. So let's move on to the Visual Studio Code and try to implement this both endpoints with the help of parallel data fetching. So here for in the parallel data fetching, so in this we have to create a new app. We have to create a new folder in the inside the app. So we click on the app folder and create a new folder with the name parallel users. Okay, by going to create a parallel users, and inside that we have a dynamic ID for that. So we can create a folder so that we can get the URL ID in the URL. So how we are going to make an API call request? So let me show you how that. So we are making an API call request like that. We have an forward like parallel users /1 could be the user ID, and on that point, and this user ID can be handled inside the dynamic ID, and we can fetch on the basis of ID both the data from the both the endpoint, one from the post, another from the album. So inside ID, we are going to create a new page.tsx. So let's create a new file inside the page.id. So we can go to page.tsx over here. And inside this, we have to touch, as we are working to endpoint. So we are going to create a two type for this, one for the post and second for the album. So let's do that. We can type. We can create a post equal to one object. Okay. Then we can have a parameter like user ID, which is type of number. After that, we have some parameter like number, ID, number. Then we have the title. These are all the properties of the post which we are going to display on our browser. So we are just creating a type of post in that. So title is of type string. After that, we have the body which contain the content. So it is also of type string. Now we already created a post type. Now we also have some other endpoint which is called element. So we also have to create a type album for that album type. For the album, I created type album. Inside that, we have number of fields like user ID, which is common. After that, we have the ID, which is number. Then we have the title, which is string, which is the album title. Okay. Now for this, now we are going to create a two separate function or from which we are fetching data from the two different endpoints. For this, first of all, I give the function name like async. We will create a function async function because we are dealing with the API endpoint. So we can create a function like async function get post by user. Okay, inside this we are going to receive the user ID which is of type string. Okay, open the function. After that we can create a constant response to it, and this await, as we are working with the async function, so we have to use the await function for that. Await, inside that we are fetching the fetch and copy the endpoint over here. So we can paste it over here, but user ID we are going to take it from the dynamically which from the parameter. So I can switch on to the back literals over here and dollar and give a dollar to it and pass the user ID to this API call. Okay. After this, then we can return rest.json data after that. Okay. Now we are also creating a separate. This is the endpoint for the call to the post endpoint. Okay. Now we are going to create a call to the album endpoint. Album endpoint. Okay. So we have to create a function like async function and get album. And in that we are also getting the user ID which is of type string. We can open this and constant respond it with the same. We have the await fetch function and we have to pass the parameter to it. So we just copy from the browser and paste it over here. Okay, and in this we have to pass the user ID which we are getting in the parameter. Now save it and return it to rise.json. Okay. Now these are the two endpoints which we have created to fetch the user post details and the album compatibility of the user ID which we are going to pass in the URL. Okay, now let's create the main function for which we are going to work on it. So for this we have to create now let's create the main function for this. So I can give it to like export, and we have a export default async function which is of user profile. Inside this we are reaching some parameters like params which is of type ID at stream. Can open this. Okay, then inside this we have constant destructure ID equal to await params. Then after that we have post data, user post in equal to get post by users, and we can pass this particular ID to it. Okay, now save it to the constant. Then getting user album is equal to get album. So we can copy this over here, we can paste it over here, album, and enter this, we can pass ID to it. Okay, now after that we can give we can destructure things like post, and after that we can destructure albums from here, and we can get await Promise.all. After that enter this we have number of things like user post and comma to it, and like a user add-on. We can paste it over here and we can save it. Okay, after that we can give a JSX to it. Enter this, we can pass a JSX. So I just copied from and pasted the JSX over here so that our time saved. Okay, and now here you can see that all the JSX are over here. Now let's format to this. Now all the things has been completed. Now let's run this particular server. Now go to the browser, wait for the server to start. Now here you can see our server get started. After that I can give a parallel user/1. So here you can see that we are requesting for the user ID 1 all the data related to the post and album. So here you can see that all the posts and albums data related to the user ID has been fetched from here. So this is how we are fetching all two endpoint data parallelly in Next.js. So one more thing I need to add here, that we need to create a loading to it. So let's create a new file with the name loading.tsx. So I can create a new file, like click on loading.tsx. So I can show it a spinner to it. So for this I can create an export default function. I can give a loading page to it, loading page name, function name could be a loading page. Okay, after that I can create a return. After this we can return a div having different number of tailwind CSS over here. So I can give a class name to it. So I can like flex, items, center, then justify center, H screen. I need to animate a spin. I need to show a spinner. So I just need to create that. Can create a new div with the class name animate spin rounded full, then height of 32, width of 32. Okay, then border -e-2, then border less b/2. After that, we can add border black. Okay, as our background is white, so I can add border black. Now save it, and one more thing which we are going to add is we need to add a delay of from time so that we can able to see the spinner to go to the page and add some time delay to it. So inside the get post by user, I can use await new promise. Enter that I can type resolve, give it a set timeout of set timeout. And inside that we can give a resolve and 2-second delay. Okay, and also just copy, like need to complete that whole complete. Okay, after that just copy to it and also paste it in the get album function, enter the get album function. Now save it. Go to the browser then. Now here you can see the loading spinner over here, and you can see the data from the 2 different endpoints by using the parallel data fetching in NextJs application. So I hope you are able to understand how the parallel data fetching works in NextJs, and I will show you the demo with the help of by calling the 2 different API, one from the post, another from the album, and you can also change the user ID from the URL. Like suppose I want to fetch the user ID with the help of 5ID. So you can see the data from the 2 different endpoint, that is post and album, and with the user ID 5. So this is how you can, and this parallel data fetching help in reducing the load time of the page. So and that it for the developer. We just saw how to supercharge your app by fetching multiple data sources in parallel using Promise.all and use in Next.js routine. The small change can make a big difference in your app loading time and user experience, especially when dealing with multiple API calls. Remember, always use Promise.all to combine multiple API calls. Use hook, insert server component to await resolve promise, and structure your data fetching logic clearly for better readability and maintenance. If you learned something new today, do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe for more real-world NextJS tips just like this. I will see you in the next tutorial. Till then, happy coding. Thank you.